This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the port of the town of North Haven.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the North Haven Board of Finance for Wednesday, January 21st. Welcome to everyone. We do have our regular meeting this evening, and then roughly 7 o'clock, we will have our workshop with the Public Works Department. We have our CPAs here. They're going to give us a presentation, but before we get to them, let's just cover one or two things, starting with the minutes from the last meeting. Tammy, did you send out the revised minutes?
Yes, you have it.
Okay.
They're on the desk.
All right.
They're on the desk.
All right, I'll take a motion on the minutes.
Make a motion.
Questions, comments?
So the only revision is just the open space?
No, there were some blanks for motions in here, is what I remember seeing, right, Tammy? And they just missed some of the members. I think Tammy just had to get in the members that made the motions, Nancy.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I should have said aye myself. I said aye for me. Under old business, let's just, Nancy, you did send me an email, which I have, but I'll find, but I'm gonna let Rich and or Ingrid cover your request that you had in your email, please.
Sure.
You asked for the balance in some of the funds from Board of Ed. Their non-lapsing is roughly $291,000. Their self,
Actually, if I could just
Sure.
stop you for a second. My specific request was that we receive the same types of reports that we received for several years, which was the month-by-month, not only the balance, but the transactions, so that we could see over time
the Board of
what
Ed's
happens.
position is they don't provide that to their board any longer. And if they're not providing it to their board, they weren't going to provide it to this board.
Yeah, and I would just jump in here.
Yeah.
The Board of Ed told us specifically, and we comply with this, because this happened today. If the Board of Ed, Patrick and Christian, do not share this information with the Finance Committee and the existing Board of Ed, we're not sharing it here. That's the answer.
Now, we can give you the reports Michael got from me last month. I use all really got from this month. Their Brown and Brown report. But their extrapolation that they do, they no longer do.
That's a good point of distinction, Rich. Can provide the information that Brown and Brown gives us, but they're not going to extrapolate it for this board if they're not doing it for the Board of Education.
Do they provide that information to the finance office?
No.
So you don't know the balances of any of their special funds from month to month, or in terms of transactions? You don't have a way to actually see that?
We control the dollars that are in those funds. We know what's in those funds. We don't know what they spend, where they spend it.
No.
We know it's a draw from the account.
That's what I'm asking. The in and out transactions to
In
the
total,
various
we don't
funds.
have it broken down by month, or this is employee contribution, employer contribution. We don't have that detail.
Right, but for a long time, we were actually able to see from.
They
month
were
to
giving a
month.
report that their board requested. Their board no longer, I guess, requires it. They're not providing the report. And as Michael said, they're not going to provide a report to this board that they don't already provide to their board.
Right, and.
I can give you Brown and Brown's report every month, or whenever it does. It comes in basically monthly.
Right.
It might lag us for a few weeks. You might be 2 months back, but I can give you those reports. Has all this information. You just pull out what you need yourself.
Right, so certainly the Brown and Brown information is very useful, but the other information, it seemed like we might get a balance in the verbiage from Christian and Patrick, but not an actual report.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cash report, so it doesn't, not knowing the purpose or how they're extrapolating their information, you can't draw a lot from that report. You can draw more information from Brown and Brown's report than you can from that report. They're making assumptions and projections out. Brown and Brown report doesn't. It gives you actual, what it is to that date. You will gain more information from their report than anything the Board of Ed gives. The report they were giving their members was customized for a certain item somebody was looking for.
Right. So are you just going to read the balances?
I mean, I
for
could
me?
send it, because there's not, I mean, there's basically only, there's not a lot to talk about. Their education, their non-lapsing was end of year to 291,000 that you're aware of. Their special ed fund is zero, their legal reserve fund is zero, their capital improvements is zero.
Okay, just let's go in order if you don't
Okay.
mind. I know the members, I should have passed Nancy's email out. But the workman's comp fund, Rich is showing.
The worker comp's in the CAFR for the end of that fiscal year.
It's negative $1,533,000.
With the IBNR, yes.
Right.
Page
I mean-
130.
131 in the
the audit.
CAFR.
Yeah, it's in the cap.
We'll get to that.
And the worker
Right.
comp is also on that same,
Workers'
That was the
that-
work,
that
was
was
the
our
workers'
workers'
comp.
comp
That was the
and
That was
workers'
the
comp.
medical's right next to it.
Medical, right.
Yeah.
The medical has a positive balance of like 175,000, I believe.
Yes.
174. I mean, the Board of Ed, in their reports that they have been presenting, they've been doing it on a cash basis.
Right. But this month, we're completely in the dark. We have not received anything from the Board of Ed.
No, they did not have a meeting where they did any financial reports to their board. So again, if their board doesn't get it, they don't share it.
But your department,
No, we don't get it either.
We don't get it.
so you don't have any information from the Board of Ed for the entire month of December?
Related to their budget?
Yes?
No, we know how much money they draw for payroll, we know how much money they ask us to transfer for accounts payable. We don't know what line it goes to.
Well, this is the second year in a row that this has happened, and it never happened before that. In previous years, the Board of Education always met in the month of December, and they had their budget workshops. So last year was the very first year in which they canceled their December meeting in order to hold their budget workshops. We meet, right, in order to have our monthly meetings, and we still host workshops. So I don't know why our ability to function as a Board of Finance is constrained by the schedule that they choose. Because the
Rich.
numbers are the numbers, whether they
Yeah.
vote and approve them or not. They're not going to change the
I mean,
numbers.
their position has been clear. If their board doesn't see it, they're
All
not
right,
sharing
look,
it to the
if I could for a minute.
Okay.
Nancy,
Yes.
I get it, you object and you don't see it, but this isn't necessarily on the, I'm trying to just answer your question as best we can through Rich, right? So I think what I heard so far was the education non-lapsing fund had 291,000 at the end of the year, right? And we talked about moving part of that to the workman's common late in the fall, right?
Yes.
The, Rich has said.
Hold on, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It was in there, and they moved it from the non-lapsing. They split it between workman's comp.
That was the
and medical.
recommendation, I don't know that they did that, we sent them an email.
That's what they told us.
Right, he was proposing to
That
the
was the
board, but they
proposal.
did not do it.
Right,
They
exactly.
didn't.
If I
make
could
a
just
motion
finish,
to
if
do
you
it.
don't
Sorry,
mind.
please, yes, go ahead.
Rich has agreed that we will get the Brown and Brown Medical Dental Reserve Report monthly, right? The Workman's Comp Reserve Fund is $1,530,000 deficit as of the end of the fiscal year. Rich, I'm sorry, what did you say about the Special Education Fund?
Zero,
Okay. The Legal Reserve Fund?
zero,
Okay, the Capital Improvement Fund.
zero.
And the Cafeteria Fund's a special fund which,
656, 412, it's restricted money.
it's restricted, oh, correct. Okay. So I think, these other points were just comments, correct? Okay,
And they'll be here not this Saturday, next
Right.
Saturday.
okay.
And when will we be getting their actual bound?
As soon as they give it to us.
You mean the budget?
Their booklet, their proposed,
My understanding is they voted yesterday, which means we should see it by the end of this week, hopefully.
okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Appreciate it.
All right, well, I'm going to go to the next agenda under new business. We do have Dave and Gabe here from Clifton Larson. They have delivered the board previously the cap for the fiscal year 2025, and they're going to go over it for us.
Appreciate it, Tim. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name's Dave Flint from Clifton Larson Allen. This is Gabe Epson. It seems like we were just here doing this, and that's because we were just here doing this. I do want to celebrate the fact that the town issued a timely financial statement for the first time since 2020. That's a big deal. The trend in the state we've seen more and more municipalities with delinquent reports and the fact that we just issued 2024 last summer and had a 6-month turnaround and issued 2025 is a big deal and something that should be celebrated. So hopefully everybody has a copy of the financial statement. I'm just going to kind of refer to page numbers and flip through my presentation. So starting on page 1, this is our independent auditor's report. So what did you hire us to do? And right from this report ourselves, our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. We say reasonably certain because the only way to provide absolute assurance is, of course, to review every single transaction. So we do statistical sampling to come up with our reasonable assurance. Back on page 1, you'll see the second paragraph. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. This is known as an unmodified opinion and is the best opinion that can be received. So flipping ahead a few pages to page 5, this is management's discussion and analysis. It's a high-level overview of what's reported within this report. It's prepared by management. I'm not going to go through it today, but if there's one thing that you guys can read through the management's discussion and analysis. So page 18, getting into the, yes?
I think for the board and for people who are here, maybe at home, I think we should at least cover the unassigned fund balance, which is here on page 6, and the total fund balance.
Yeah, for general fund?
Yes.
Yep, so I'm going to go through that
Okay.
when we get to the actual financial
Yep.
statement. So, starting page 18, we have Exhibit 1, and this is your statement of net position, more commonly referred to as a balance sheet. But here, this is performed on the full accrual basis of accounting. And what that means is that it includes your capital assets and your long-term debt. You'll see on page 18, right in the middle of the page, we have total capital assets of $275 million. That's net of accumulated depreciation. And then on page 19 in the non-current liabilities, you'll see we're bringing on things like bonds payable, 81 million, notes payable, 5.7 million, other big items, your net pension liability, your net OPEB liability, 27 million and 85 million respectively. That brings us down to a total net position of $68.3 million. You'll see the majority of that is your net investment in capital assets. And what that is your total capital assets less any debt outstanding to acquire those capital assets. So you see on page 18, we have $275 million of capital assets. The net investment in capital assets is $179 million. So that shows us that of that 275, $179 million is free and clear of any debt. That make sense? Okay. We have some various restrictions for endowments, and then ultimately we have an unrestricted amount of negative $166 million. We often see a huge negative unrestricted portion because we're bringing on these huge liabilities like the net pension and net OPEB liability. So skipping ahead to page 21, I think this is what you're referring to, Tim. These financial statements, these are your fund financial statements, and they're performed on the modified accrual basis of accounting. They do not include those capital assets or long-term debt. They give you a better indicator of how the funds are doing itself. So in the general fund, you'll see that ending total fund balance for the general fund is $11.7 million. The unassigned portion, which is the large majority of the portion, which is great, is $10.789 million for fiscal year ending 2025. We also have an assigned amount of $500,000. This was money that was put aside for the 2026 budget. And then we have a committed amount of $291,000. Rich mentioned that. That's the Board of Education non-lapsing amount. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question, Tim?
Yeah, thank you.
So we also have two other major funds listed here. We have your bonded projects fund and your capital non-recurring fund. Bonding project funds has a total fund balance of $2.1 million. The biggest reason for that is because in 2025, there was a $2.6 million payable to the state of Connecticut for the school construction projects that was forgiven by the state. So that was taken back into revenue, which resulted in this $2.1 million fund balance that you see there. Capital non-recurring fund, fund balance of $1.2 million. You know, in a capital fund like this, you're going to see fund balance fluctuate all over the place based on the timing of grant receipts and issuance of bonds for the capital projects. You'll see that $3 million of bond anticipation notes were issued for fiscal year 25 to support these capital projects. Right in the middle of the page, you'll see that $3 million sitting there as a liability. Once that turns into a bond, it'll hit revenue and will impact your fund balance. And then finally, you have your other governmental funds, which is all the other small funds that do not individually meet the threshold to be a major fund. Those aggregated together have a total fund balance at the end of the year of $3.9 million. Skipping ahead to page 25, these are your proprietary funds, your business type activities, funds that are supposed to be self-supporting. We have first the Water Pollution Control Authority Fund. Again, there's capital assets in this fund. You have $22.2 million of capital assets right in the middle of the page. And then you come down to your net position of $29.7 million. You'll see that the net investment in capital assets is almost the same as your total capital assets, which is great. Those capital assets are not leveraged really at all. And then you have $8.2 million of unrestricted net position, which is great. This fund had a $1.3 million surplus in fiscal year 25.
Hey, Dave, the receivable struck me as high, given they only do $5 million in revenues. Any thoughts or comments on that?
Off the top of my head, I do not. I'm happy to look into it.
Does that ring a bell, Rich or Mike? Why is that receivable so high? It's $1.4 million. We only do $5 million a year in revenues in that fund.
We can take a look.
Yeah.
What's the billing schedule?
Yeah, they go quarterly or
Oh, for WPCI?
Yeah. How do you bill?
Well, the residents are billed once a year, right?
Yeah.
In October.
But commercial's probably different, right?
No, commercial is twice, I believe.
Commercial pays when?
Based on flow, I don't know if this pays monthly, but it goes directly to.
We'll take a
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. To the right of that, we have your internal service funds, which I know you guys were talking a little bit about earlier. This is obviously workers' comp and health funds for both the town and the Board of Ed, all four aggregated here. They have any fund or any net position of $252,000. They experienced a $1.7 million loss in fiscal year 25. So just a little detail about what I covered. If you flip to page 53, you'll see a footnote of all the capital assets within the town and the categories in which they fall in. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but page 53 has the town's capital assets, and page 54 has the water pollution control capital assets. Let's head to page 56. This is your long-term liabilities. So on 56, you'll see bonds outstanding. And the first category we have is your general purpose bonds. Total outstanding was $35.8 million. And we also have school bonds totaling $46.8 million. Skipping ahead to the next page, we have the remainder of your long-term debt. We have some notes payable for various things. You'll see fire truck, you'll see a clean water fund note in there. And those totaled $6.9 million at the end of the fiscal year. Also included in here, we have some lease payables, subscription payables, your comp apps liabilities, landfill liability, your risk management claims, which come from your internal service funds, and then the big ticket items here are your net pension liability, which of course is, there's 5 pension plans that are aggregated here, $27.4 million, and then the net OPEB liability, which is a big number, $85.5 million here. So skipping a page ahead to page 96, this is your budget to actual schedule for your general fund. Basically, it's a good indicator of how you budget and then how you performed against that budget. So page 96 and 97, these are your revenues. And you have it broken out by departments and individual line items. And you'll see at the end on page 97, you'll see that there is actually a small deficit in budget revenues of $450,000. It's important to note that like I mentioned before, $500,000 of the previous year fund balance was allocated to this budget. So pretty much you were right on line with where you budgeted as far as revenues go. And you'll see in the other financing sources on page 97, you'll see appropriation of fund balance. You'll see that $500,000, and then we show zero in that column because you're absorbing that actual fund balance. Page 98 is RSI 2. This is the expenditure side of the general fund budget. And without going through each individual line items, you'll see that at the end on page 99, you're $863,000 under your budget. So I'm just going to go through your pensions real quickly, just kind of show you where they are from a funding status and kind of where the contributions were. So page 101, this is your employee retirement plan. And you'll see we have to show 10 years of data, but looking at the left is 2025, and you see towards the bottom, you'll see something called the net pension liability. And for this plan, it was $11.32 million. And right below that, you'll see 85.79%. This is the percentage that the plan is funded in comparison to how much value is in that trust. So this plan is 85.79% funded. And if you go one page further to 102, this shows you how much your actuary that you actually did. So for 2025, they said 2.248, and we put in 2.290. You actually had an excess contribution of $41,000. So 5 plans, so I'll go through each of them. Page 104 is your police plan. 2025, a net pension liability of $14 million, and that plan was 72.19% funded. Page 105, again, shows the actual determined contributions of a little over $2 million, and you put in $199,000 more than that actuarially determined contribution. Page 107 has the fire plan. Interesting here, you'll see that actually the net pension liability is negative $169. That means that this plan is actually in asset status. And you'll see that the plan is 100% funded, which is fantastic for a plan of this size. Page 108 shows that we put in exactly the amount that the actuaries determined that we needed to fund. And then page 110 is the volunteer firefighters retirement plan. Again, a net pension asset of $4,700, and this plan is also 100% funded. Much smaller plan though than the regular fire plan. Page 111, 100% contributed into the plan. And then finally, our last plan is the elected officials plan. This has a total pension liability of $2.1 million, and I say total versus previously I said net pension liability because this plan does not have a trust associated with it. There's no funds set aside. All benefits are paid as they come out. In addition to those 5 pension plans, the town also has an OPEB plan and other post-employment benefit plan. On page 116, you'll see a similar schedule, and you'll see in the middle of the page for 2025, we have a net OPEB liable ending of $85.5 million. There is a trust for OPEB, but it is small. So this plan is 1.6% funded. There's about $1.4 million of funds in that trust. The last thing I wanted to highlight on page 123, this is the report of the tax collector. Basically shows you how you're doing in your collections. I just want to highlight that in fiscal year 25, 98.85% of the current levy was collected. That's in comparison to 98.5% in 24. So collections continue to remain very strong. Anyone have any questions on the act? Before I turn it over to Gabe. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, just 3 observations here. Number one, on the $500,000 fund balance, that was a strategic move on our part after working with the rating agencies, S&P 500, because we had been putting in $1 million, $1.5 million. We got down to 500,000. So that explains that, as we're trying to work within not always utilizing fund balance. So that's why we see the 500,000 there. In terms of the pension plans, you see the good numbers here that you reported. And a lot of that is revolving around the fact that we were a couple of years funding the pension to percentage of payroll, but we realized that that was the incorrect way to do it. We now are funding the pensions in terms of the positions in the government that still may not have been filled at this point in time. On top of that, what we did was we re-examined all the pension plans and the investment strategies, which we do. Rich and I do this all the time. And we are trying to maximize the return against the anticipated rate of return, which is about 7.5%. So when we look for the future, we're going to continue to fund the pensions, not by percentage of payroll, which we stopped by positions within the government. We're going to continue to try to glean off as best we can without the utilization of fund balance. This is going to be a difficult year budget-wise, so we're going to have that temptation of probably using 500. We haven't decided that yet. So the real dilemma that we have, and I have in particular, is OPEB. We put the trust together about 5 years ago, which the rating agencies like. But the reality is, as much as I debated this even in my corporate business career, because we are pay-as-you-go, we're financially solid, it shows as an accrued liability on the books that doesn't look good. So we've got to figure out how to put more money eventually into OPEB and try to maximize the returns in the trust, to try to marginalize that deficit.
Yeah, it's not something that's unique to North Haven. You know, I would say the majority of the municipalities no longer have trust funds set aside
Really?
for
Yep.
OPEB. You know, the recession in 2008, we saw a lot of those disappear. And they're just pay as you go now. And the liabilities get out of control, for sure.
So other than trying to raise the percentage of fund balance, which we've been very successful at staying between 8 and 9 down through the years, but as time has gone on, the rating agencies now are looking at 15 to 18 up to 20%.
Correct.
That's a tough thing for us to try to accomplish at this point.
Understood.
Any of the members have questions before we hear from Gabe on the other two reports?
Just a quick question. You may have covered this in terms of the two components, but where did you land in terms of the final position regarding a surplus for the year?
For the year for the general fund?
Yes.
Yep. So if you flip to page,
I may have seen the two
if you
components, but
flip
not
to
the
page
individual.
23, you'll see at the bottom that it's called net change in fund balance. And again, it's on the modified accrual basis of county. You have a surplus $434,000. 434,518.
518. Great. Thank you very much.
Gabe, good question.
Maybe not so much for the auditors, just clarifications that the finance department could give us here. On page 13, it said that the total fund balance in the general fund increased by about halfway down, 44,518. So that's our positive net outcome for fiscal year 25-26. I'm sorry, 24-25.
Correct.
All right, yeah, I think at that time, we did have some option to use fund balance, but we decided to not execute that, is that right?
If we had budgeted fund balance money and we didn't need it, we left it.
Yeah.
It was only,
Good. Good choice, because comparing this capper, this year's, the 24-25 report with the 24-23 report, the percentage of unrestricted fund balance relative to our budget, we did improve our position. The previous year, I think it was 8.05%, and now it's 8.45%. So if we keep moving 0.5% per year, in about, with another,
20 years.
in Mr. Frieda's 30th year as selectman, we're going to actually meet that goal and get to that 15% mark. So you just keep running. Whatever you're doing, it's working. Two questions here. On page 14, the general insurance final budget exceeded the original budget by 882.52. Does that include the workman's comp? Or does that have anything to do with workman's comp?
I'm not sure, I'm not sure where you're looking.
It's at the top of the
Very
page,
top
the
page,
very
very
first bullet on the top of the page.
Yeah.
Due to an increase in claims that caused the fund to be at a deficit.
That was medical.
Does that include?
That's on page 14 of
Yeah, medical.
medical.
Yeah.
So that's,
We have our claims history was better than
It's not
expected,
general insurance, medical insurance.
so we
General
still
insurance?
transfer the same amount, so our medical reserve increased.
That was the budget
I
line.
didn't know what that general
Yeah.
insurance
Yeah, I
was.
Yeah, we
think
moved the
that's,
entire budget line, even though,
We made an additional contribution though.
So that's not medical, is that workman's comp?
That is an
or-
additional contribution that we made out of the general fund in our budget transfers to the medical because
To
of the
medical.
increase
Okay,
to fund.
all right.
If you recall, our previous years, we had fund deficits, so that was some time to get our.
All right. That same page about almost all the way at the bottom here, under the internal service funds paragraph here. I have to state the sentence here, that this, as a result of expenses exceeding revenues in the education, dental, and medical fund, it ended up with a deficit of $2,819,000. And of course, it also mentions about the workman's comp fund, which we know about. But, you know, I did raise the red flag, believing that they were running expenses in excess of revenue or contributions of about $2 million. Was that, none of that 2.8 million had anything to do with the reserves being used for their general budget? Remember one year we asked that they take a draw?
Well, the tape is just really the difference between the revenues and the expenses, Mike. The $1 million would be the beginning fund balance. And I know what you did, that was 2 years ago. That would have
Yeah.
reduced the beginning, that would have reduced the fund balance, but this is just on a P&L ask if you.
if you look on page
Yeah.
131,
Yeah,
you
131.
can see those
Page
four
131.
funds broken out separately.
Okay. Right. I'm a little closer there. Okay, this should have a close eye on that category.
I think, Mike, since we have education coming up on Saturday, and we haven't seen the budget yet.
Yeah.
But I think they budget 200 and, I'll call it 50, give or take, for the current year. The question to ask them is, what do they budget for next year, and how does that correlate to the numbers you're seeing on page 131?
I got more questions than just that, but sure, we
Well,
can start with that one.
Okay. Go
So
ahead.
there's a lot of there's a lot of drama within the state right now because a lot of towns don't have them so nicely separated from the town as you guys do, and there's a lot of back and forth on whose responsibility the deficit is, and so I do commend you for having that segregated.
Thank you. Michael?
No, that's all for tonight,
All right.
at the moment.
Other members before we go on with Gabe? No? Go ahead, Gabe.
Okay, thanks, everyone. I'm going to start on the federal single audit report. This is going to be the most lengthy, probably the reports that I present. If you flip to the second page, it's just the table of contents here. It shows the components of the report. There's two letters. There's a schedule of federal expenditures, And at the end, there's a schedule of findings which summarizes the report. I'm going to have you guys flip to page 5 of the federal single audit. This is your schedule of expenditures of federal awards. It shows each and every grant that was spent with federal dollars during fiscal '25. If you flip to the second page of the schedule, page 6, you'll see the bottom line here, total expenditures of federal awards, $4.25 million. 2024's total was about $8.6 million, so pretty sizable decrease in federal spend here. What is the reason for that? It's mainly because of the Sackett Point Road Bridge project. There was significant money spent on that in 2024. That project was substantially completed, I would say, by the end of 2024. There's a little work that lingered into 25, but that's why you're seeing a big decrease here, essentially. That grant went from $5 million spent in 24 to just over $200K in 2025. If you guys flip ahead here to page 10, this is your schedule of findings and question costs. It basically summarizes the whole report. Like I mentioned, there are 2 opinions in this report. One is on your financial statements themselves, and one is on your federal awards, your compliance with what the federal government asks you to do, whether it be reporting, procurement, what costs are allowable, et cetera, et cetera. So the first portion here, your financial statements. Town received an unmodified opinion. As Dave mentioned before, that's the best opinion that can be received. That being said, there was a material weakness identified, and we'll talk about that momentarily. Skipping down to the second section, the compliance with federal awards. Once again, an unmodified opinion, but we do have significant deficiencies here. These are less severe than the material weaknesses, still important enough to merit your attention. And then at the bottom of this page, you'll see the 2 major programs that we tested compliance for this year, which is the IDEA cluster, that's a special education grant, and CDBG non-entitlement. Sometimes they call this the Small Cities Grant, and this is for the Temple Pines renovation. If you guys flip ahead to page 11, I'm going to go through each of the findings. The first item is on journal entries. This is your material weakness. You guys might recall in 2024 you had the same finding in your report. When we identified this, we were already into fiscal year 25. Controls have been put in place. It's noted here if you look at the last sentence of the clause paragraph. Town has implemented additional controls. However, they were not in place for the entire fiscal year. There was a portion of 2025 when those controls weren't in place. Thus, the finding carries over. My expectation would be that this finding will be removed in 2026, as long as the town continues to abide by those controls they put in place. If you flip it, this is a reporting finding. This one is a significant deficiency, which is less severe. This is for the Temple Pines project. There are 2 reports that the town is supposed to submit to DOH each year in regards to this project. The town actually hires a consultant to do that. One of those 2 reports, the consultant prepared, but it never got formally submitted to DOH until we asked about it. Thus, we're giving you guys this finding for your internal control over submitting those reports. It seems like a small thing. There are many reports that finance submits to grantors each year, but it's an important thing. It's something that everybody would hate to see the town lose grant funding or see costs disallowed because a report wasn't submitted. That's what this finding is all about. So our recommendation is just to revisit the controls in that area, make sure that everything is getting submitted timely to grantors. If you flip to the next page, this one is procurement. This is for the IDEA grant. Oftentimes with these special education vendors, there might be limited options that are available to the town in terms of vendors that can meet the district's needs. Sometimes a vendor might be the only vendor that can meet your needs. When that's the case, normally we want to see all federal transactions follow the town's procurement policy. So you get quotations, you go out to bid if you have to, whatever the policy dictates based on the amount. Sometimes when a vendor is a sole source vendor, it doesn't make sense to do that. When that situation happens, all we need to see is something formal on file, a bid waiver that the Board of Education might have, their rationale for why it doesn't make sense to go out to bid, why this vendor is sole source, have it signed by the appropriate parties. That's all we're looking for in regards to this finding. Just making sure you guys have the proper documentation so that nothing like that could be questioned by the grantor.
So Gabe, do you think in this case that there was limited or sole source here, or that they just didn't?
Yes, I think this vendor is a sole source
Okay.
vendor.
Thank you.
they needed a certain size vendor. They were the only one that fit the bill.
Yeah.
But as Gabe said, there's procedures they needed to
Right,
follow.
okay.
And agreed to it, they understand it, and it was a good catch.
This is a finding we do see a lot with this particular grant.
Yeah, okay.
There's nothing questioned about the costs of the vendor. It's simply just having the proper documentation. It's a vendor that many school districts use.
Okay.
And if you flip the page, this is the last finding, also for the IU grant. This is in terms of your allowable costs. One item that we noted is there was one employee whose pay rate was not updated when the new collective bargaining agreement for their union was ratified about halfway through the year. This resulted in a slight underpayment to that employee. Not something that's significant from an audit perspective. But that being said, like Dave mentioned earlier, we're sampling here. You know, we're testing 60 payroll runs. We only found this one employee where this occurred. It wasn't a significant dollar value. That being said, there's always the possibility that there are other things like this out there. So our recommendation along those lines is just to beef up the process when a new contract is ratified, make sure there's a formal process in place about updating those pay rates, and then some type of recurring review after the fact, you know, checking people's rates against salary schedules, make sure everything is lining up as it should. That is it for the federal report. I'm going to go quickly to the state single audit report. This should be a bit quicker. It's the exact same format as the federal side. And if you flip to page 5, it's the second page of your schedule of expenditures of state financial assistance, so your state grant spend. You have a spend of $10.4 million. Last year was $10.0 million, so pretty consistent year over year as far as what you spent, state of Connecticut awards. If you guys flip ahead to page 9, this is once again the schedule of findings and question costs, just like the federal side. You have your financial statements, which we've done unmodified opinion. There was one material weakness there. You have your compliance with state financial assistance, so making sure that reports were submitted timely, procurements done properly, costs were allowable. This one was unmodified, and there were no findings on compliance with state financial assistance. At the bottom of the page, you'll see the 3 grants that we tested. Municipal Grant Aid, that's a public works grant. Small Town Economic Assistance Program, STEEP, that's for the Northeast Firehouse Apparatus Bay, so the garage for the trucks. And then last of all, Town Aid Road Grants. This is public works again, town roads and highways. And if you flip the page, you'll see the one finding. It's the same finding for journal entries. We already went over it, exactly the same as the federal side. Additional controls have been implemented on this, and my expectation is that this will come off in 2026. That was the only finding on the state side.
Quick question, how do you decide which of the programs you choose to audit?
Yep. There's a lot that goes into it. Based on the announced total expenditures, there's a threshold that gets determined. So programs above that threshold are called Type A programs. You look at your Type A programs, and a Type A program has to be tested at least once every 3 years. So sometimes there will be a Type A program that we tested in one of the previous 2 years. We may not test it again. However, if it's a new program, it has tested before. We always test it if it's above that threshold. And if you go to that schedule of findings and question costs, close to the end of these reports, it does call out exactly what that threshold is. So $750,000 on the federal side, and then I believe it's $300,000 on the state side.
Yeah, I see that at the bottom.
And that's something that's determined by formula.
Thank you, Gabe. Any questions from the members for Gabe on the state and federal audits?
On page 7, you specifically say that there may be material weaknesses or significant deficiencies.
State or federal, Nancy?
Sorry, this is
Yeah,
the most
it's
recent
both.
one, but I think it applies to both.
It does.
That may exist, but were not necessarily identified in this report. Were there any that you noted that perhaps you didn't include in the report?
No, so what that's getting is basically, like Dave mentioned before, what we're doing when we test these grants is statistical sampling. What we do when we do your audit is doing a risk-based approach, also doing sampling of certain accounts and transactions. It's almost impossible to look at every single transaction. That's why we do our sampling, and that's why we do a risk-based approach. But, you know, just because you sample something and you don't have any findings, doesn't mean that something else is not out there that you didn't find.
Sure, there might be sampling error. Got it. Okay. All right, thank you.
Any of the members have any final questions for David Green?
I just have one, and you might not be able to answer it, but it gets back to the bigger packet. On page 143, at the very bottom of the page, it's the schedule of debt limitation. Again, this is kind of looking forward into the future. It says very specifically, the total net indebtedness amounts to about 100 million, and in no case shall total indebtedness exceed 7 times annual receipts from taxation. So let's say it's about 115 million every year, times 7 is about 800 million. So if we, as a town, are considering a variety of different big projects, you know, whether it be building schools or other, you know, capital projects or acquiring various types of capital assets using bonding, what kind of thresholds would you recommend in terms of, it's based upon the finances that you've just presented today?
I don't think that's.
Let me
something
take that. Let me
No,
take that.
and there's other,
Yeah.
you
Hold
want
on.
to do it?
So for starting, Nancy,
Yeah.
that's a legal limitation which the town has never come close to
No,
coming to.
I
and never
don't-
will.
I don't expect
Nobody
it.
would ever come.
Right,
No,
no,
no, no,
right.
and
And
I
it's
expect that.
different for different municipalities across the country. You know, what our debt appetite is for the town, I think is a broader discussion. But, and frankly, there's some metrics that probably our bond advisors look at. Things like the percentage of our payments as a percentage of our revenue, and some other things. They'd probably be better equipped to answer the question. I'm not sure I'm the person either, by the way, but Mike might have a comment.
So a lot of it is debt burden to grand list, debt burden to assets, and what we look at is that 800 million, that's irrelevant, because like the auditor said, we're never going to reach that, nor would anyone even try to reach that.
Exactly.
So the reality of the situation is this, okay? Because of the bonding projects, the capital projects we've had down through the years, we're still paying off on the middle school, the police department, I think the firehouses. So this adds to debt service every year. So when we see our debt service line growing every year, that is a red flag for us, because we know we cannot offset that by any other way but to pay it. So when you bond more, you're adding debt service every year. It's more feasible for us from a cost standpoint on some of these capital projects to lease some of these trucks, because it costs us more to bond. Because what nobody really understands, other than a few of us here and Rich, is the fact when you bond, you're paying more cost for bonding costs in addition to bonding for the projects themselves. So a lot of people don't realize that. They'll say bond. It costs us more money to bond than it does to lease.
Sure.
But you can't lease a building, so we have to bond for those projects. That's the answer.
Page 142 also has some interesting statistics, basically, you know, outstanding bonds as
Yes.
a percentage of taxable value and per capita.
Right.
Yeah, the per capita one I'm familiar with, Nancy, and generally speaking, I like to see it less than 5,000, so 3,700 is a good number. I would say 2% is also a good number. I'm sorry, that's on the taxable value of the property. All right, anything else? If not,
Tim?
yep, go ahead,
Yeah,
Mike.
well, you also issued 2 letters to us that were separate from the books.
That's
and-
just the same two that were in the cover of the books, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The one we probably should go through is the management letter. If you guys have
The
time.
one that starts, there's no title at the top. The one that starts off, we have audited the financial statements of the governmental activities.
Yep, so very standard letter.
Yeah.
We are required to communicate with you as those charged with governance twice. Once at the beginning of audit, you get a letter then, and then once at the end of the audit, which you get a letter here, which would, you know, we come out and do this presentation instead. Do you have any specific questions on the letter?
But just in one of the letters, it just mentioned that some notes payable might have been recorded in 1 year, but they actually occurred in the prior year, of $581,000. Just want to know if there's any implication from that at all?
No, so there are instances where we may find something that requires us to book a journal entry, but it's not material.
Yeah.
Right? So we just accumulate those, because it is possible that if we find 5 of them accumulated, they might end up being material. So we have to accumulate those. So at the end of our letter, we do provide those past adjusting journal entries, those non-material journal entries, to those charged with governance.
Okay, yeah, it's labeled as a misstatement, but, you know, I'm not causing any problem or any issue over it. Just want to know if there was any budgetary or annual impact in terms of net position or something like that, because it's $500,000.
So.
Where are you seeing this from, by the way? What page are you looking
It's
at?
on the last page, Tim, of the, yep.
Sure, I have that.
Board of Computer.
I don't have that in front of me.
There, Tim.
Oh, thanks.
Mike, that was Board of Ed Computers legal.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I don't know what it was for, but I'm just asking about what the impact was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael, basically what happened here is, whenever you guys have notes payable like this, I believe, you know, sometimes it's notes payable, sometimes it's leases with a buyout option. When Dave went over those first exhibits in the financial statements, the ones that have your actual liabilities on the statements, so your bonded debt, your notes payable, they're actually right there on the face of the statement. There were some notes that should have been brought onto that statement as a liability last year in fiscal year '24 when they started. Because it's not a material amount to those statements, they're the big statements right at the beginning. So they have the $85 million OPEB liability, you know, the big ticket items. Because it's not material to that, rather than go back and restate 2024,
Right.
we're basically flowing it through in 2025 here. And we're saying here, that's not the gap thing to do, but because it's material, you know, we're not going to go back and restate. We're not going to do any
So
of
this
that.
doesn't impact your general fund or any of your funds. This is just your governmental financial statements on page 18 and 19.
Notation of a finding, maybe an adverse finding.
Correct.
That over a 2-year period had no material impact.
Well, if I could, you probably mean this. Mike said it's an adverse finding. I'm not sure I'd characterize it that way. I mean, it's basically a prior period adjustment that's immaterial, correct?
It's a past adjustment.
Right, correct.
So
Right.
we should have booked something to correct it. Because the amount's not material to those statements, we passed on doing that. It's a past adjustment. It's not something that goes into your federal reports or your ACFR as a finding. It only goes into that table at the end of the governance letter to make you aware of it.
Very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Final questions for Gabe or Dave? All right, appreciate you guys coming out, and thank you so much for the timely finance report this year. Thank you, Ingrid, as well, by the way, and Richard.
Dave. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the opportunity.
LJ, you want that back? All right, let's try and go into our regular business. We have just the town reports this month. We do have the revenue report. I'll take questions or comments. I did look at it. The story hasn't changed dramatically. Our election's good. We are well ahead on interest on short-term investments. On the other hand, we're lagging on town clerk fees, building fees, and fire fees. Year-to-date, though, we have collected 3% of our budget. Any questions for Rich or Ingrid, please?
I just have a technical question, which is the paramedic services that, where we bring in money when we provide transportation to the hospital. where does that money go? Does it just go into the general fund?
General
Or have-
fund.
have you created a special fund just for
General
that?
fund.
It just goes into the
That's
general.
here, in
Okay.
your second page.
You'll see it
I see, I see it in the
Yes.
second page under town revenue, I just wasn't sure whether you have a special
No,
fund.
it goes
for it.
directly there.
Okay.
No, wait, 2 pages.
Oh,
Any of the members have other questions or comments on the revenue?
It's related to revenue. There's, from today's New Haven Register, the legal action being taken by the Board of Ed to New Haven, trying to recover some money that's owed to us for education, special education services by the New Haven students. Just want to know when that money comes in, is that an offset on a Board of Ed line item in terms of their expenses for special ed out of district students, or does that come in as a general revenue item to us?
It would be something to address with the auditors, but I think we would take it into almost like their non-lapsing and ask that it be
It's
moved to
such-
medical and worker comp.
I mean, we obviously receive money every year from them and other towns, right, for students who,
Money comes in, it's just like a grant, it offsets expenses.
so it's, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
But
So-
this is well after the fact, so I would think we would take it in and,
I think
You know,
it's-
I don't know. Well,
I don't know.
I think it's
Well, you'll have to
restricted
Yeah,
consider
it's
that.
restricted.
You'll have to
Special ed.
consider that.
it's special ed, so I think we'll go to that account.
Yeah, it would.
In the reports that we
Yeah.
received from the Board of Ed, when we received them, is actually under state grants, one that says open choice. And that's what you're referring to, is
Yes.
for
No.
open
No,
choice.
no, no. that's
Yeah, I
not.
think it is.
Yes.
Well, I
Well,
think that's.
that is
a-
the grant for.
This is what the city
Right, this
owns,
is.
North Haven, not the
So
state.
this is reimbursement from another municipality
Right, this
for
is-
open choice.
For expenditures
I
that we
think
have
it's under that
incurred for those
program name, though.
students.
But it's
Yeah, but I
under
think
that-
what he's
Right.
saying is that she's looking at the grant from the state. This
Ah,
is
I
a
see.
reimbursement we're
Right,
looking
so it's
for
only different.
from
From the
New
city.
Haven.
Same name,
Right.
but
for-
two different pockets.
Right.
Right.
It's
Okay.
to do with the state.
Right.
It's between New Haven and North Haven right now.
Right,
Yes.
I see.
yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
North Haven's in a
500,000.
strong position. I'll speak out of turn, but Michael has, to the mayor in New Haven, and basically said the two of them need to get together and just settle it.
Yeah,
And that's
I
what we're
think
trying
we're
to
on
do.
path for that.
That's the path right now, so.
okay, very good.
Anything else on revenues, Michael?
No.
Expenses?
May I have your attention, please? The North Haven Library will close in 30 minutes. All computers, Wi-Fi, and printers will automatically shut down in 15 minutes. All participants will start attending as well as library applications must be completed by 7:45.
So I'll just say this, I did some math and it made it a little bit easier since we're halfway through the fiscal year. The report shows that we've used 53.5% of the budget, but there's a few things that need to be adjusted here. For instance, we haven't paid for our water fire protection yet.
Just came in actually today.
Okay. Same with OPEB. I kind of prorated the capital. On the other hand, we've paid for virtually all of our bonds and notes, and I think there was something about workman's comp. We seem like we paid 100% of that so far.
Good, yes.
So if you kind of adjust those out, my math shows that we've used 48.3% of the budget year-to-date, so obviously less than 50%.
There are other items that will be hitting next month that are big items. So you'll see these numbers jump. One of them is the boiler in Annex, which was like 60,000. The water line at Animal Shelter,
Right.
which we probably spent 15,000. The fire engine will come out of contingency, which is 200,000.
Yep.
In Public Works, salt, we just
Public
got a
Works,
big
yeah,
encumbrance for
they're,
150,000.
this, you know what, all those good years we had, we're getting hit this year.
Jump in on this one.
Have the contingency funds been paid already?
No, they're doing June.
This month, I mean.
They're doing June, but we put an encumbrance that way we can show that, those will be
So
expended.
it will be January,
Yes.
but you won't see it until next
Yes.
month.
Let me jump in on this, okay?
Okay.
You'll see it as an encumbrance.
All right, let me just add something to this, okay? So everybody knows that what we're doing here is we've asked the department heads not to spend items that don't need to be spent now. Let me tell you why, okay? Because a lot of times things get blown out of proportion. We're looking at potential shortfall of revenue in building fees, fire fees, and other areas of this budget. The way that works is, so everybody's clear, if we project a deficit in revenue, the only way to make this up is to cut back on expenses. In the last couple of fiscal years, maybe this past year, one of the things that we've been successfully able to do to offset the revenue not coming in is come in under expenses. So when we see, or when we say, like we said to all the employees and the department heads, unnecessary or expenses that aren't critical, do not spend the money. We're going to need to come in under budget to offset a potential under revenue. We've been successful on doing this. Now, if there's things that are critically important, of course, we're not going to stop those. So, but we have to look at things that we don't need to spend right now to ensure that we balance this budget in the fiscal year. At the same time, we're projecting, right now, the way we stand as a Board of Finance, we're projecting another major tax increase. We're not going to be able to sell it to the public. I'm telling everybody right now, we're not going to be able to sell it to the public. So we're going to have to really ensure that we're tightening our expenses and making sure that we present a budget to the public that they're going to accept. Because where we are right now, the public's not going to accept it.
Thanks, Mike. Comments, questions on the expenses?
Usually I don't complain, I would complain about overspending, but on page 5, under bank fees, Mr. Monaco, are you using banks that don't charge fees?
We get the bill in January.
$80,000
Yeah,
and not a dime spent in the first 6 months?
We'll get the bill soon.
Yeah, this
Okay.
month we'll get the bill. You'll see it in next.
So it's not on a month-by-month basis?
No, it's every year.
No.
Yeah, why is, that's not our, on our
All the
monthly
transaction
transactions?
fees and things like that.
Why don't they bill, they don't bill us monthly?
No.
Which
it's
bank's that?
It's Webster.
It's Webster.
Webster?
Why can't
It's
they
every
bill us,
year.
why can't they bill us monthly like every other bank?
Last year, I don't think they billed us at all, so we're not going to push it.
Yeah.
They never used to bill the town because
Because our deposits
because
must
our
have off-
deposits were so high and they weren't giving us any interest.
Our compensating balance is paid for.
We've changed that relationship.
Yeah, I
So
remember
they-
that.
Yeah, so they started charging us a little bit, but
Right.
sometimes they don't.
Yeah, okay. Good catch, Michael. Anyone else? Comments, questions?
Strain.
Why are the utilities for the animal shelter high?
We met this week, I believe.
It's asking for the utilities
Yeah,
in
we
the
have
animal
a
shelter.
problem at
Which
the
one?
animal
Yeah,
shelter.
Because of the pipe.
Oh, the
The
utilities and the animals?
utility for the,
Yeah.
just
There was a water main, there was a water line that broke, and it was just running for days before it was even found. That's one of the things that's gonna hit contingency in that we spent roughly $15,000 to change 900 feet of line from Universal Drive to the animal shelter.
If there's any good news on that, Rich and I met with Dave Carney, the animal control officer today, they stopped the bleeding, so to speak,
Yeah.
with the water. The water was gushing out, we
Oh.
didn't even know about it, so.
We patched it, this all happened right before Christmas. We patched it, it was holding, we were gonna wait maybe till springtime, and
No.
patch gave way, and we ended up replacing it in time. Elio was down there engineering, it was a tired town, and then we had an outside contractor run the line for us. And animal control personnel stepped up, they would turn the water on, fill buckets so they can clean areas, make sure the animals were taken care of, turn the water off, and then turn it on again later if they need more water, just to try and keep the flow down. We didn't realize we had a problem until the bill, because it was all underground.
And we don't utilize the Pipe Safe program, is that right?
Apparently not.
No. Okay,
I don't think you can get it for commercial.
that's good advertisement.
I think it's more of a residential.
It's
Yeah, it probably is residential. I'm gonna do commercial.
Yeah.
For 900 feet of pipe, that wasn't a bad price.
15,000?
It was about 13,000 plus some odds and ends we had to do. Just under 15, say.
All right. We cut back on expenses, by the way, throughout the rest of the year, right? hope we continue to have heat in this room and in the other room over at the town hall, which we never have before. These are positions.
All right, we've got Public Works waiting, we have to get the public comment. Anything else for expenses?
Yeah, we'll comment.
Yeah, no, I didn't bring it out. All right, motion to move the reports?
So moved.
Second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Why don't we go to public comment? Peter?
I hate to bother you, I have a few things tonight, I don't take up too much time.
Would you mind the mic there, please,
Oh,
Peter?
mic's over there?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not that I have a lot of notes, I like to do a lot of things off the top of my head, so if I jump around, I apologize to the board and everyone else. And I don't want to just think that I'm blaming you for rain, I'm going to give you credit for sunshine. Good job. We have a complete 100% pension for our firefighters. I'm happy to hear that, and for our volunteers. I'm happy, Rich, we're not paying for bank calls too. They're doing a good job. What I'd like to talk about first is, I understand it was last week at the workshop, the fire chief mentioned that he is not allowed to do a safer grant request unless it goes through the board. And I noticed like a small window with that, like a 30-day window. And I'm wondering if that was accurate or if it was missaid, because I'd like to see him write as many safer grants as he can. I believe West Haven just got $400,000 on a safer grant. So I think it's imperative that we let him write as many as he wants, and it still has to go through the board before it's finalized. So why let him bring it to the board first and waste time and maybe lose the window?
I'll comment, I'm sure Mike can comment. We've done the Safer Grant, as you know, some years ago. And if there's any expenditure of funds outside grant, obviously, we need to authorize it here. But to the extent that we're gonna apply for grants, you know, he should still be speaking with Mike as to, you know, what the program is. So I know what a Safer Grant is, other than that, Peter, I don't know what the specifics of this grant are. So with that, I mean, I think he needs to do what he would normally do in the town, which would be coordinate with the First Selectman's office.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. It sounded like he had to get permission before he even writes it. He has to go through the board, and that'll take so much time that we'll lose the window. By the way, sorry, I apologize. Peter Criscola, 54 Fieldstone Court. I apologize. So that was one question, and the other one was,
Well, do you want to address that one
Yeah,
first?
I mean,
Yeah, so,
Tim's right. If there's going to be, you know, there's a couple different kind of grants that the town applies for. Lynn does hundreds of grants.
Correct.
She applies for. They're one-time grants that have a portion match. Did a grant that Andy was involved with for $7 million. We pay $700,000. They give us $7 million. One-time deal. Nice deal.
Beautiful.
Grants that involve personnel are long-term commitments. If you were talking about 16 firemen, or even if you're talking 10 firemen as an example, that's without equipment or anything else, that's $1.6 million. That if that grant was for 1 year or 2 years, then the town is basically have $1.6 million exposure, which is almost $500,000. Board of Finance, at the very least, the First Selectman would be involved, but the Board of Finance, if you're gonna expend that kind of money, you have to know the board's gonna be in agreement with it.
And the original Safer Grant that I recollect that we did,
We went to the town for approval.
but it stepped down over a period of time.
Yes.
We got X percent in year one, and then it dropped
Yes.
down, so we incurred a larger percentage of the cost of the new employees, if
And
you
it
will.
was for, if you
over
remember, it
time.
was for paramedics.
Yeah,
Right.
The town voted on it.
I remember.
yeah.
And it was approved.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, does he have to come before you before he even submits it? Because if he submitted it today and it was approved, it still goes before your review. So why stop him from writing them? Let him write as many as he wants. And then if it doesn't feel that it's right by the board, I understand that it gets stopped, and I understand that.
I
not
think that's a
problem.
management decision he has to take up with Mike.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I think that tied into this, with knowing that there could be short windows, because we applied for a safer grant a couple of years ago, we didn't get it, okay? So the way it would work would be this. Whoever it would be, in this case, the fire department, would apply for the grant. If we get notification that the grant is accepted, and there's an illustration as to what the cost is in the first year and even beyond, at that point in time, we wouldn't stop, in this case, the fire chief, from writing a grant, but we'd have to have the Board of Finance, myself at the very least, and our finance department, understand what the impact is before a final decision is for us to give back to, let's say, the federal government on the grant. So what I'm saying is this: write the grants. This board, myself, reserves the right to see if we can afford it based on how many years it is, what the percentages are, like there was back in 2007, 2008.
I agree with you 100%, but just
Yeah,
allow him to
as
write
long
it.
as
He's not gonna take the grant, it's not gonna be finalized until the board finalizes it.
there
So
are-
that- So let him write as many as
Yeah,
he
no,
wants.
there's different grants. As long as the first selectman is on board with it, and the grant, by submitting it, isn't binding the town,
Correct.
it's just, you know,
Right,
it's
if
just
it's not
talk.
binding the
If
town,
he's not
he
binding
has the
the
right to
town-
write it.
We're good with that.
That's good with that, as long as
And the
first
second
selectman's
half of
on
that
board.
was, you answered it before about the revenue versus the expenditures, about putting a freeze on what's being spent at the department. Hopefully, we're not gonna tie the chief's hands, because there's certain stuff that the fire department needs. And if they need it now, I think that he's the person who knows if it's needed now, not to wait and decide if it's needed for
No,
certain
it doesn't work,
emergency spending.
it doesn't work like that. Anything that's needed is approved instantaneously.
Right, but he has a budget, and now we're freezing the budget.
We're asking department heads, all department heads, to refrain from making purchases that are not necessary or critical.
Right, but I'm sure
That's all
that,
we've asked them.
right, but I'm sure that if he needs something that he thinks
Yes.
is critical, and you may not think it's critical, or Mike may not think it's critical, it may be critical to the department, and he is the chief, so I think he knows. I'm not here to dispute what you know about bookkeeping and accounting and managing money. I'm not here for that. I'm here to say that the chief, if he needs something that he thinks is needed today or tomorrow, we should let him do it. That's why he's the chief. I'm not speaking for any other department, police, public works, but Board of Ed, not my business. I'm concerned about the fire department.
So let's, maybe you're missing something or misinterpreting something.
Okay, it's
The
possible.
department heads,
Rich, wait 1 second.
department heads are instructed not to purchase anything that they don't need. It's not saying someone's reviewing what you are or are not requesting a purchase order for. As long as policies are followed, every purchase order pretty much is approved. It's their call at the time not to put a purchase order in if you don't need something. It's not like a purchase order is being rejected that they put in. That doesn't happen. So that's what you're misunderstanding.
Okay, I just want to make sure we get that he has,
He knows that.
Right, well, just wanna make-
It's
well-
not first year,
not the first year, not my first day at the rodeo.
yeah.
The next item I want to talk about is the engine that we don't know if we're receiving it, if we're not receiving it, the one that's supposed to come in 2027. And I say this, and let me go through the whole thing. I know we took delivery of our ladder truck, which is great, and I know we're talking about $1.35 million, I believe it is, for the engine coming due in 2027. Yesterday, by coincidence, they had a meeting in Hartford, all the fire chiefs from all over the state. Blumenthal was there, a couple of other politicians. And it's out of control what we're being charged for apparatus. We know that already. There's only a small group, a couple of companies, and they really have us at their mercy, okay? So I know it's coming in, and we don't know if it's stopped, if it's not stopped, but it's replacing a 27-year-old piece of apparatus, engine 4. We've already spent $4,000 on repairs on it. You can see it's 27 years old. I don't think anyone has a 27-year-old vehicle in their garage or in their driveway, okay? It has a shelf life, of 20 years on the front line. Has a shelf life of 25 years as a backup. Well, we're beyond the shelf life. Should that vehicle go down next year, 6 months, tomorrow, okay? And we have to order a new one. First of all, if we stop delivery on the engine, is there a penalty? And if so, it's approximately what, $30,000-$40,000?
There's,
If
I
we
can
stop
give
delivery.
you my whole thing if you want to
Okay,
hear it.
I'm just gonna give you the notes, and you can come back, say whatever you want, jump in, feel free after. Okay, so we're gonna have a penalty to pay. In the event that engine 4 goes down and we have to rent one, you're not gonna rent a brand new one. You're gonna rent one that's usually 15 to 20 years old, and it's gonna cost us anywhere between $6,500 and $7,500 a month. I thought that the production time was 30 months to get a new piece of apparatus from the day you order it. I found out yesterday through the municipality of Chiefs that it's 48 months now. They have us out 4 years. There's a chief in Hartford that ordered a piece of equipment. He's on his 4th year, he doesn't have it yet. So if we lose that equipment, if that engine 4 goes down and we have to rent one for 4 years, you guys do the math better than me. If it's $7,000 a month times 4 years, do the math.
Right.
Plus we pay the penalty, plus if we order a new one in the last 3 years, according to the chief report yesterday, not our chief, the chiefs in Hartford, it's gone up 200%. That means we'll be paying an additional 12 to 14% to order an apparatus that we'll get 4 years from now. So we'll probably waste between the penalty, the rental for the years, and the increase on the apparatus, $500,000, we'll just throw out the window. I think that, and I know what Mike said, he was.
All right, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
Okay, just a second. The chief is nothing but, if not passionate and persuasive, okay? And he was just here. This engine, should it be needed the way you described, belongs in his budget. It's not in his budget, okay? And that's what we have to go on. So if it was necessary for the department, it should be in the budget. It's not in the budget.
Was it in the 5-year plan?
Yes.
Hold on. Let's
I'm
be
just
careful
saying.
here, okay? I'm just gonna say what I said.
Okay.
He was only here a week or so ago. He's known about this engine for several years. It was discussed, I mean, I wasn't here, Diane covered for me, but it was discussed back in the fall. Okay, so the opportunity to get this in the budget was a week or two ago when he was before us, and he did choose to do that. So, to me, that would have been the opportunity to do so if it was needed as badly as you're describing it.
Well, again, I'm not gonna speak for chief, I'm not gonna speak for you. It is needed, definitely, and I don't have an answer why he didn't bring it up unless, again, I'm not speaking for him, he thought it was his 5-year plan and didn't have to bring it up again, because I'm sure that.
The 5-year
he would-
plan is just a forecast
Right.
for the future, so we know
Exactly.
what.
But I'm sure he won't arbitrarily not bring it up just because he didn't feel like it.
The chief's been here a long time,
Yes, he has.
okay? We've been through innumerable budgets. He gives one of the best budget presentations we get, Peter.
I think he does
He knows the
excellent.
process.
I think he does an excellent job.
I agree.
So I just want you to think about that engine, about not returning it,
All right.
if that's
Let me
possible.
just,
Go ahead.
let me just add a few things. So
Go ahead.
maybe you're just missing some information.
Possible.
Not counting the ladder trucks, it's not counting Tower 1,
Okay.
but the new vehicle just purchased, which is a ladder and an engine,
The Quint.
the Quint. The town has 4 fire engines under 5 years old.
Okay.
How many fire engines can they send out at a time?
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Do you
How many
constantly,
engines can they send out at a time based on their staffing?
based on their staff?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I don't think they can send, they can't even send 4. They can
Well-
send Montaukese, they can send,
2 engines, 1 ladder,
2
and
engine
1
ladder
rescue.
and
they
a
can send
rescue.
2 engines, a rescue, yeah. Even if they cannibalize the rescue, they could probably send 3 engines. You have 4 engines that are under 5 years old. You have another 2 engines that are 12 and 13 years old, and then you have 2 that were in the 20s. All I'm saying is you have 5 engines under 5 years old. I don't
I
think,
understand.
and he could present to this board, that there's a urgent need for another engine
Well,
to replace an engine when you have technically 1 or 2 always sitting in a firehouse, even if there was a fire, because there's no one to move it.
well, not even if there was a fire, because we do 4,000 calls a year. Now, whether we put out the Twin Towers or we put out a fire in someone's garage,
Yeah.
it's a fire.
have 4
Apparatus
engines.
is leaving. And that's the next thing, we're gonna talk about manpower. Do you plan on putting more manpower on? Because I have a chart here. I don't know if you can see from there how this works, okay?
But Peter, let's go back to the engine first.
Okay,
You
well,
have
that's
4
tying with
engines,
this.
you have 4 engines under 5 years old.
Okay.
You respond at best 2. Even if the volunteers got out, you're responding 3. You still have 4 engines under 5 years old. is it really necessary? And that's the presentation he would have to make to this board, to bring another engine on in under another, maybe 5 years from now,
Well-
maybe 6 years from now, who knows?
I think you're gonna need to bring it on because you're gonna have to put on more firefighters.
You still
Listen,
have,
we're kick can on the road.
you're
And we're at
missing-
the end of the
you're missing
cul-de-sac.
point.
I'm not missing it. We need to put on more firefighters. That's what I'm gonna tell you. So you're gonna need apparatus.
You could put 12 more firefighters on, and that would only man the fourth engine you already have, right?
No.
It doesn't?
You have to have another engine in reserve. The
All right, if
older
you don't
ones are
mind.
in
So
reserve.
let me,
Yeah,
okay,
come on.
'cause-
Yeah, okay, let's,
and I had this discussion with both the chief and the deputy chief, okay? They're in my office, okay? In this 5-year capital plan, starting next year, on this particular engine, there's 260,000, 260,000, 260,000, 260. So it's in the plan. So that total amount would be financed by the money that's in the future capital plan starting next year.
So wait, Mike doesn't mean next year. He means the succeeding year.
Yes,
Yes.
that year.
27.
Yeah, right. So the plan is, and I even talked about this in...
28.
Right.
28.
okay, I'm sorry.
So the plan is, and I thought I've been very clear on this, even at these meetings, okay? What has to happen is, next year's workshop session, the fire department puts this into their budget
In 27.
in 27, 28,
The 27 workshop for the 28 budget.
28 budget.
So now you got a 4-year wait to get an engine.
So, and we're financing it over the 4 years in the 5-year capital plan.
But,
So
right.
it's already in there, starting 4 years from next fiscal year.
So we're gonna talk about 27, 28 to put it in the budget. We're gonna have a 4-year wait.
Right.
We're gonna have a 4-year wait. We're going to pay another, by then, 25% more to buy that same engine
Right.
that we can buy now and have it.
But that's the problem, we can't, because there's no money appropriated. That's the problem I've been trying to tell the fire department.
Could we-
Money's not appropriated here,
Right.
so,
Is there a way to appropriate it at a special town meeting? Is there something we could do to get it approved? And it's gonna tie into this, and I don't mean to jump over, but it's gonna tie into this. 10 years ago, and this is a tremendous burden, not just on the paid firefighters, but it's a tremendous burden on the volunteer department. We had 105 volunteers, 105 10 years ago. All these yellow things are volunteers, okay? All the red dots are volunteers, 105. Fast forward 10 years later, we have 15 on the bottom. Actually, now we're down to 13. I found out last night. 13 down the bottom.
Have your attention, please. The North Haven
10 years ago,
Inform
if you had a
from all items to check out of the
fire scene, any kind of scene, a highway scene, whatever. In 11 minutes, you had 41 firefighters on site. 41 on site in 11 minutes, 10 years ago. Fast forward today, you have 14. You have 14 on site. You have 10 paid, one shift has 11, and maybe you have 3 volunteers. And the volunteers are only working, by the way, on weekends. So don't have a problem between 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock, Monday through Friday, because they're not there, okay? I asked Rich about tax roll, he said it's basically the same, okay?
Basically flat.
We've built a miniature Bronx City up on Washington Avenue with the houses, okay? We have, in the last 10 years, Lexington Gardens. We have the apartments Vigliotti built, the new ones going up. We have a lot of property there, but, God bless you.
Thank you.
And I hear that there's no more population growth, which is fine. I don't know who's living in them places, but they're there. And in the last 3 years, with all this going on, all those yellow sites that you see are right now, all the yellow, no longer in service. So there's the strain on our guys. In the last 36 months, we buried 3 firefighters, okay? 3 firefighters in their early 50s. Now, again, I don't take notes, I don't like notes. This is a photo, and I'm gonna use, there's 4 firefighters in here. It's 10 years ago, actually. 4 firefighters out of the group that were there. Let's make each one 10 firefighters, so we have 40. Well, now when you go to the same scene, we're gonna fold back those 2, we're gonna fold back this one, and that's what you got left now. So when you go to a fire scene now in 11 minutes, you're gonna have 1 out of the 4, because they're not there. Each one is 10, it's not just one firefighter. So that's the problem we have. So we need to get the apparatus, we need to get the men. I know it's a tremendous cost, as you said. It's not peanuts to outfit a firefighter. I understand, not my first day here, okay? I'm a taxpayer. I don't want to pay more taxes. Mike's done a great job holding the taxes down. Thank God we got him. He's done a great job with economic development. But you have to have a balance. If we're going to keep economic development, residential, commercial, we do the highways, the Mid Parkway. We do more highways than any other fire department. 91, we cover all this space. We go up on the highway with 3 engines. We come up with a ladder truck and 2 engines. What do? We get the rescue. Everything's shut down. I go to mutual aid. Hamden, Wallingford, East Haven, New Haven, they're getting tired of supplying us with mutual aid. So it works hand in hand. I know you're saying we have 5 engines. We have 3 engines really that are good. We have the ladder truck, we have the new Quint that came in. We're looking probably the new rescue soon, and I understand the cost. It's not like buying a simple SUV for one of the departments and saying, here's $70,000. But when we think about the $70,000, $80,000 for an SUV from the other departments, also think about we rotate those every 2 to 3 years. So in 25 years, if you do that, you put on 12 units. 12 units times the $80,000, you're at $1 million almost with lights and everything. So it works out to be the same because our apparatus goes a long way. I just want you to think about that. I hope the presentation wasn't too long and it didn't, seem foolish, because I don't want it to be foolish.
No, not at all.
I think it's serious.
Right.
I take it very serious about the fire department, because they protect this town, the people that come into this town. And if we can't protect them first, they can't protect the people. It's like on an airplane, I've always said it. The stewardess tells you, if we're going down, put your mask on first, help the person next to you. You don't give it to my firefighters, they can't help the people next to it. My firefighters are number 1. So I thank you.
Thank you,
for
Peter.
letting me speak.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So I'm not sure that we actually heard the answer to his question, though, about the engine, because there has been a lot of, Mr. Frieda said at the fire workshop that has been canceled in terms of the order, and then I happened to watch the fire commission workshop yesterday, and there was some question as to whether it has been ordered.
So
So,
here's the situation, and I thought I said this to the fire department yesterday.
okay.
As of yesterday, it's in limbo, but it's scheduled to be canceled. It's in limbo because we're determining whether we want to pay the 30+ thousand or whether we're going to sell the vehicle, have the vehicle
I see.
sold.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, it's canceled. Now, to go back to this, to what I just mentioned, there's money allocated over the next few years in the capital plan. So next year, the fire department comes in and puts it in the budget and presents it as a need.
But if it's in the 5-year plan and it won't be ready for another year, why don't we just keep it?
Because
Keep
of
the
this.
order.
Can I, look,
We-
we're in public comment.
Yes.
Okay, this board's job is to oversee the expenditures of the town. It's an unbudgeted item, that's what it is, okay? It's an unbudgeted item that didn't even make the budget for the ensuing fiscal year. So as passionate as the presentation as I just heard, that's the process that we go around here. If the board wants to talk about it at another time, we can do it, but I don't want to have that conversation before Mike and Rich and the chief look into the possibilities here, okay? It's an unbudgeted item, Nancy.
So the two, both the truck and the engine that Mike Frieda signed the contract for 2 years ago, neither of them was in the budget.
And in my
Neither
opinion-
of them had the financing.
And in my opinion, what we did was we found a creative way to provide the ladder truck or the aerial vehicle right to the board of, to the fire department, okay?
Because we couldn't get out of it.
Because.
Couldn't get out of the contract.
The because is besides the point, okay? We got them a very expensive, I think it was $1.7 million, right, Rich?
Yep.
$1.7 million, a vehicle that they said they needed, okay? And this board was able to accommodate them, okay?
Tied into the fact an engine blew up. So This is the 7th time I've talked to you about this. How many times do I have to explain it?
So you have to explain it because it is not clear. These are two different
Not clear.
vehicles.
Not
And the
clear.
first time that we heard about this engine was at the fire workshop.
So
This is not on the agenda, and I'm going to stop the conversation now.
Thank you.
This is public comment, okay? It's not on the agenda, and we have the board, Public Works waiting to make their presentation.
I agree with you, Tim, thank you.
So if there are any other members like to speak, please raise your step forward. Not seeing any, I'll take a motion to adjourn, and then we will immediately move to the Public Works presentation workshop.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, please. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Let's take 1 minute, I'm just going to get a quick drink myself, and then Mike will be ready for you. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to continue with the workshop portion of tonight's meeting. Andy, if you could just, please, as you give your presentation, reference the pages that you're discussing, please.
Yep, absolutely. You guys ready?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So for the record, Andy Bevelakis, Town Engineer, Interim Public Works Director. So as far as the actual budget items, we're pretty flat. There's a couple items I want to point out that'll change.
Page 30?
On page 30, correct. The overtime item, we're increasing the budget to $45,000. That's based on the actual expenditures from last year, which was about 42. And let's see.
Consultant line,
The consultant.
drop 20,
Yeah,
offset.
yeah, just about, right. And then the other change is under engineering, the field equipment. So I bumped that item back down again. We had bumped it up last year specifically for one piece of equipment that we purchased. That has been a big game changer for us, so I'm bumping the budget back down again to a normal level that we would normally have. So in terms of budget items, that's pretty much it. Outside of that, we're flat. Capital expenses.
I'm sorry, Andy.
Oh, sure.
Let's just give the members a second
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
had any questions on the operating expense
Actual
side for
budget.
capital.
So in the building department, the overtime increase that you have is a pretty substantial increase, and I can see the actual for 24-25 was $41,752. And this year, we're on track to spend, looks to be about $52,000. So I'm wondering, is that going to be sufficient?
The 45 should be sufficient. I mean, I went over it with the chief building official and assistant building official,
Okay.
so they were confident in that. This change just reflects the reality of the, the workload that department is under to get the work done.
Anything else from us before he goes on to capital?
No. Okay, so now moving on to capital, on page 38. One item, the plan of conservation and development, I've got $150,000 in for that item. That is a state mandated item. So every 10 years, we're required to redo our plan of conservation and development, which is basically kind of a master planning document that towns are required to have, that kind of lists what our goals are, what our resources are. Our current plan of conservation and development is up in September of '27. But these plans are a big effort, and there's a big public outreach part of them. There's also involvement from a lot of the different town departments that'll be part of this. So we plan to hire a consultant, and it'll take every bit of a year for us to get through and complete the revised report. So that's what that one is all about. And that fee there is based on the last time we had it done 10 years ago. I basically took the fee that we had paid that time and increased it at 3% to come up with it, a little contingency onto that.
3% per year?
Yes, yep. Next item is the building department skinning. That's something that I've had in the budget for quite a few years. Currently, the building department, all of their new permits and all the information associated with permits is in their electronic system. The problem is that all the older permits and all the older data that we have related to buildings in town is all on paper. And the hope was the software system that we have will accommodate the information. The hope was that we could scan those paper documents in, bring them into their current system, so that way their computer system will basically cover every property and every permit that was issued. It becomes a great resource. Right now, if they need to research that stuff, they got to pull paper files, and a lot of those are stored down in the basement, and it becomes an issue. And then the other part of that too is there's a portion of their data that's actually in microfiche. Do not microfiche reader. What I was told was New Haven Library is the only one that has one. So the building department was looking to purchase, it was $12,000 to purchase a microfiche reader to allow us to be able to access that information. Right now, the only way they can do it is to get out of New Haven to be able to review those, those microfiche records.
And I think in New Haven, that area is under construction, so you can't.
Making it even harder, right? So I think what the thought was is that if the board, can authorize $85,000 for the scanning, we won't need the microfiche reader because we'll have those microfiche records scanned in as part of the scanning effort. If we can't get the 85, we'd like Wells to be able to buy the machine to be able to read it so that we do have access to that data, because right now it's very difficult to get at.
Does the library have a microfiche?
I guess they do not. That's what I was told they don't. Or they don't have one that's capable of reading the data that we have. And the last item is dam safety improvements. I have in my budget $125 for this year, and I threw $50,000 in for next year, so we continue to have funds to be able to make improvements. We're planning on getting started on some of that stuff in the existing budget this spring. That'll include a bunch of tree removal and, kind of minor repairs. We're not going to make any major changes, but if we can improve the safety through some minor repairs, that's what I'd like to try to accomplish. And that's pretty much it on the capital side.
The rest is going to be covered by Mike, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yep.
So just to recap, the plan of conservation and development is a mandated item, and it's in the budget because it's going to take about a year to produce this, right?
Correct.
Okay. I remember the dam safety vegetation from last year. And then you've got the scanning, which I remember from last year. If we do the scanning, we don't need the microfiche. Correct. Questions from members?
You're serving as both the interim public works director and the town engineer?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Lynn, because when Lynn retired.
Lynn retired,
Yeah,
right.
I agreed to take on the responsibility of managing the department.
Okay.
In her senior stead, so.
And is that expected to be go on for some time, or is there some plan for you to do one or the other?
I mean, it's indefinite at this point.
Yeah, that's going to be up to Rich to determine that.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyone have anything else for Andy? Michael?
Nothing?
Ellen J. Bob?
No.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Mike, same thing. If you don't mind calling up the page as we get started here, please.
All right, so I'm going to start with page 31. Knowing that this is a tight budget year, I was going to request a full-time laborer, but I'm going to set aside for now and possibly ask for it for next year. So we're going to start with streets and roads. Personnel full-time. Contract is up in June, but we are putting an additional increase on that, a 2% increase. So from $1,713,143 to $1,755,959.
So that's an estimate, you're saying?
That's an estimate, yeah. So their contract is going to be up in June, so we're looking ahead. Our personnel part-time, because the state minimum wage has increased, we're going to increase that as well. Overtime, seeing the actual from 24-25, we're going to increase that as well, from 301,344 to 375.
What are you running so far, Mike, halfway through this year?
Overtime, streets and roads. We're at 89,696.87. So 70% right now.
You said 89,000.
Oh, well, oh, sorry.
he's 211,000.
100, yeah, sorry. Read the wrong line.
70%.
He's 70%, 211,000 spent so far.
That was 211, sorry. Yeah, wrong line.
Thank you.
I mean, that's all based on, our weather. That's a big part of the overtime.
Why, is it mostly snow plowing?
There's, before I came in, there was snow
I
flowing.
know, I'm just saying, your overtime
Yeah,
is mostly
most-
correlated to
It-
snow.
It's mostly
Right.
call-ins, yes.
To weather.
Right.
Weather-related. So wage differentials, that we're gonna increase 7% from 138,777 to 148. Office supplies, maintenance of office equipment, we increased that to 5,000 from 4,000. Building utilities is staying the same, gas, oil, diesel is staying the same. Maintenance of equipment, as our fleet gets older and some of our new fleet comes in, we're increasing that 3% from 235,500 to 242,565. Leaf pickup, we're increasing that line 5% from 161 to 169,855. Materials and supplies and equipment, that's being increased as well from 135 to 139. Building maintenance is staying the same. Custodial, that's a contract, that's increasing 3%. Sidewalk maintenance is staying the same. Winter maintenance, we're increasing that line as well, 3% from 150 to 154.5. Uniforms and shoes, they're saying the same. Meals, we're having a little increase there from 8,000 to 8,500. Dues and expenses are staying the same, no change. Tree expenses are staying the same, no change there. Line painting as well, and painting is staying the same as the following years.
Let's
Any
just pause and
questions
see if-
before I move?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Let's just see if the members have questions, streets and roads.
Yeah, I'm curious, with the leaf pickup, what would the increase be?
Leaf pickup, this is the trucks that actually we hire. We've had their hourly wage stay the same. As we know, everything has increased, fuel, the hourly rates, so we have to
Thank
add
you.
a little bit to keep them on our, to keep them moving.
Thanks.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, for sanitation, personnel, this is all contractual as well. We're going from 647,937 to 664,135.
But this is the same contract, the streets and roads.
This is the same thing, yeah, it's one union. Personnel part-time, these are our call-in sanitation workers. If an employee is out, a full-time employee is out on vacation or sick, we would call these guys and or this crew in. We're going up 3%. That's also controlled by the state minimum wage. So we're going from 6,816 to 70,537. Overtime, sanitation does overtime on the working holidays, so that is going to increase. Wage differential, we're increasing that 4%. From 7,700 to 8,008. Gas and oil is staying the same as last year. Maintenance of equipment, I say the same as streets and roads. As our fleet does age, the cost increases as well, so it's going 4% increase. Tires, materials and supplies, building maintenance, uniform and shoes, and meals are staying the same. No change there, no increase. Tipping fees are going to increase 1%, so $1,064,000 to $1,074,640. Condo trash pickup reimbursement is increasing 2%.
So, Mike, the tipping fees, I know in the past, this is based on, obviously, the amount of weight that we deliver and the dollars per pound. Is that on contract right now?
It is not on contract.
So, I'm sorry, did you say there's a, I know it says 1%, did you say you raise it $1 a pound? Where'd the 1% come from?
1%.
So,
But where'd it come from?
yeah, where'd it come? How'd you come up with that?
Well, as we saw last, 24-25, during the middle of the season, we had an increase from one of our trash disposal companies. So,
I guess my saying is that this is relatively modest increase for $1 million item. And so I'm just trying to make sure that, and it's been a little bit volatile in the past. Mike's even talked about it at this meeting a couple times. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand how he came up with the estimate to make sure we're not underestimating it, frankly.
well, we look at what the increase was last year compared to what we predict is going to be this year. We had, like I said, we did have an increase halfway through the year last year, so.
So we're about 38% of expense elapsed the last time I looked, okay? Versus here we are halfway through the season. So as I've said many times at these, that around the holidays, Memorial Day, then we start picking up a little bit. So I think we're right on track right now. So, but there's a lot of volatility across the state of municipal waste, and it's a project I'm working on with the state themselves on how to solve this problem.
There are a lot of bills that have been lagging from New Haven. So I think we might catch up in January with them.
Yeah, we definitely will catch up. We just had some invoices come in today, so that'll reflect it soon.
So is that what we're doing now? We deliver to the transfer station in Haven?
Well,
So there's
couple
two places. We have one in Middletown, Murphy Road.
Yeah.
And we have New Haven Solid Waste and Recycling in New
Yeah.
Haven.
So New Haven can work if you get there quick and dump.
Yeah, definitely.
If not, you wait too long, so they'll use the facility, but Haven charges less per ton.
New Haven charges more per ton.
More per ton. We gotta go up there anyway, it's further. But
So
it's
it's for,
faster.
there's a little increase on the fuel
Yeah.
and the wear and tear on the vehicles going to Middletown. So there's pros and cons there.
Thank you. Let's just see if the member has on sanitation, please, Mike.
Well, when we get to, my question is about the fleet.
Let's wait for
Yeah,
capital. Let's
that's
wait
for
for
capital.
Yeah, that's
my
capital,
question,
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be my question.
But on the operating expense side, it's just, anyone have questions, LJ? No.
But I must say, I mean, I have to thank my crew at sanitation. They've been pulling a lot of weight, and it's been tough for them. So I appreciate the job they're doing. And now
So do we.
it's time to rid some of the vehicles there. That'll come up next.
Mike, did you have a question on this?
I think Mr. Monaco mentioned that Public Works is the next contract
I'll start it this month.
started it. And so they're settled through the current fiscal year or?
The end of this fiscal year.
The end of this fiscal year.
They'll appoint their board sometime in January.
Yeah.
Hopefully next week, and then I'll meet with them shortly afterwards.
Okay, so like the question I always have is the labor costs that are projected here.
Should
Are we
cover us.
using the special account for, no, so we're just projecting? Okay, thank you. Need to know.
In our current budget expenditure report, we have a line item that's referred to as equipment rental, but I don't see that listed here. This is under streets and roads, I'm sorry. Has that been folded into something?
That's the leaf pickup.
That's leaf pickup. you
Yeah,
said, right?
that's
It's just-
leaf pickup.
Got named to the proper,
Okay, so all equipment rental is basically
leaf
related
pickup.
to leaf pickup?
yes.
So even though we have bills that are in the month of December of $90,000
Right, we're
So
still getting.
We're still
we're
getting
still
bills for
getting-
leaf
yeah.
pickup.
delayed,
Yeah, we have some delayed invoices coming in.
gotcha, okay, thank you.
Let's see that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Transfer recycling, this is projected part to, for the full-time staff of 2%. Part-time increase here is state minimum wage. These are our transfer recycling attendants. So we're increasing that budget line.
So are you expecting more work, or, because I'm just looking at the actual for 24-25 was only about 42,000, and I believe year-to-date, we've only spent about 20,000 halfway through this year. So are you expecting some big variance for next year? This is for part-time, sorry.
Well, part-time, this includes some of our part-time call-ins as well. For
Right,
sanitation, this is our recycling staff as well.
right, but,
So this covers that expenditure as well.
yeah, I guess I'm just trying to reconcile. The last completed year was only about 42,000, and so far halfway through this year, we've only spent 20,000. So how are we getting up to 81 for next year? You can circle back if you
Yeah.
need to.
Let me-
That's
Yeah,
totally
why don't you,
Circle
can you
back.
get back
Yeah.
to Rich, please?
That's totally.
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So overtime, this is gonna cover all the work holidays as well, with the 4% increase. Wage differential is staying the same, utilities not changing. Gas and oil, we're increasing that from 31,800 to 32,000. Equipment maintenance, materials and supplies, public education are staying the same. Disposal of recycling materials, that we're projecting a little increase on that, from 211 to 230,000. Disposal of hazard and regulated waste, that's staying the same, no change. Building maintenance, no change there. Transportation hauling, we have a 6% increase from 131,500 to 140,000. This is everything that gets hauled out of our transfer recycling center.
So is that a subcontract, Mike? What is that?
That's a subcontractor, yeah.
And is this an estimate? Would you price this out?
Well, we're looking at the actual expenditure of last year, and we're projecting that it's going to increase. We've seen a lot of use of the transfer recycling center. It seemed like it's been increasing more and more each year.
Mm-hmm.
So just to make sure that we have funding there, we want to cover that with that increase there.
Has that prompted any thoughts about perhaps checking IDs? I know at some point there was talk of actually having people, be able to demonstrate that they're actually town residents before they enter the transfer station, because I'm just a little concerned that perhaps, people who are running various lawn maintenance companies and so forth might be utilizing our transfer station.
Yeah, we did that. You mentioned that the last time.
Mhm.
We did have a meeting with our attendants. We
Mhm.
did make them aware of that. We are checking driver's license for each vehicle that goes in there, unless it's a vehicle that they know.
Okay.
That is a North Haven resident. So we've stopped a few out of town vehicles from dumping before they were able to unload their vehicles. So it is working.
Yeah, we
But-
certainly don't want cars piled up onto, Elm Street, but.
No, it moves fairly quick.
Okay.
I mean, knowing that the attendants are there weekly, they recognize vehicles, faces, so it actually moves a little quicker.
Great.
But we do get, on the occasion, out-of-towners coming in and trying to dump. The rest of the lines there, site maintenance, rental, uniforms, meals, dues and expenses, and permits, they all stay the same. On with the next one. Any questions? Okay. Maintenance, again, their contract is coming up, so we're projecting a little increase there, a 2% increase. Overtime, we're keeping the same. Wage differential, we're increasing just to make sure we're above the actual from 24 to 25. Wage differential, I'm going to explain it because I know this is going to come up. This covers some of the specialty jobs that we're doing down there. Because of the vehicle, we haven't been replacing vehicles. We've been doing some work to upkeep them and keep them safe for our staff to drive and operate. So that's where that increase comes in. The rest of the lines, office supplies and equipment, the same. Gas and oil, diesel, same as last year. Maintenance of equipment is staying the same, no increase. Garage equipment and supplies, staying the same. Uniforms and shoes is the same as last year. Meals is staying the same. And training is not getting changed. It's remaining the same as last year. So, running a tight budget here.
Any questions for Mike on this page before he goes on to capital?
He has one more.
I got more.
Parks.
I got parks.
Parks, sorry.
So, with parks, just a personnel part-time increase of 2%. Water for the parks is staying the same. Park gas and oil is remaining the same. The electrical for parks, that we're increasing of 1%, so it's 46,000 to 6,500. That controls all the field lights and power that they need to run their programs. Parking units and vehicles is remaining the same. I'm just gonna run down all of them. Park maintenance and supplies, Maintenance of parks and park equipment are remaining the same. Landscape beautification, we're actually going to increase that 5%, so 11,000 to 11,005. That is utilized for our garden club, and trying to make the town look more inviting and replacing some shrubbery on the central block, the town green. So we're taking out some of the old and we're putting in some new shrubbery, so that we're increasing a little bit. Track field maintenance, that's remained the same, that's staying same as last year. So very tight budget this year.
That's a contract, right, Mike?
That's a contract, yes.
So does that have to be rebid every year? Do we already think that's what it's gonna be?
I'm not sure if it's every year, maybe every
Yeah.
other year.
He probably has a 3-year contract.
Okay.
And that's for budget lines. I'm gonna move down to capital. John, if you want to do the capital. Oh, yes, pictures. Yes, we all like to see pictures. Start here. Pass it along.
Good evening, John Lazick, Assistant Director of Field Operations. So one of our major challenges that we face is that we have to overcome is that we only have over 50 vehicles and equipment in our inventory. So while understanding that vehicles and equipment are expensive in today's market, we're trying to do our best to keep our inventory in top shape. However, due to the daily usage and wear and tear, it's necessary that we need to update our inventory to best serve the residents of North Haven in mind. So going forward, capital requests, if I could start with sanitation and recycling. Our first item, we're requesting to purchase a 33-yard refuse truck, which would replace a 2012 Peterbilt 320. The replacement cost for this item is $381,500. If you buy it outright, the second option would be a year lease to buy option to lower the upfront cost significantly. The reason we are requesting a replacement of this vehicle is that it is a 2012 and no longer reliable. Most refuse trucks have a lifespan of about 8 years before significant maintenance costs occur. This truck is over 13 years old. It is used every day. In the past 9 months, the truck has incurred approximately $35,000 in repairs to keep it on the road, and over 192 man-hours of labor for repairs. We are asking to replace this vehicle with a 33-yard refuse truck, rear loader, to continue curbside trash pickup and our dumpster pickups across town. Any questions with that item?
Why don't you just go through them all, John, then
Okay.
we'll open up if you don't mind,
Okay.
please.
Second item, we're requesting to purchase 2 automated helping arms to the 2 semi-automatic trash truck loaders for trash pickup. These side loader arms will increase the safety of our employees and reduce worker comp claims significantly. Total estimated cost to add these 2 helping arms to our trucks is approximately $172,256.
So this is how many trucks?
2.
2 trucks.
One arm per truck. Yep.
Okay.
Right.
The third item request is a Ford F-350 or a Chevy 35 rack body 4x4 equipped with a liftgate and plow package. This new truck would replace a 1995 Ford rack truck. We are requesting to replace this truck with a Ford F-350 or Chevy 3500 4-wheel drive with body liftgate. Estimated cost of this item is $72,000. The reason for the replacement request is that the truck is 30 years old and is no longer reliable. The truck would be used daily for construction projects and during bulk weeks for sanitation. It would also be used for work orders with our facilities in town in the central block region for helping move equipment and registrar's office and moving voter registry. With the plow package, we would also be able to utilize the clear roads, which we can't do currently because of its condition. A new reliable truck would ensure that essential services are not interrupted by unexpected breakdowns. Item number 4, we're replacing a 1988 Ford L8000 with asphalt hotbox with an international cab and chassis with snorkel for asphalt projects. So currently this truck has been out of service for over 2 years. It is imperative to have this truck placed to increase efficiency in asphalt projects. This will result in less product waste, and it would significantly improve operations going forward for paving driveway, potholes, lateral paving, large paving areas, and overlaying curbing townwide, which we do during the spring, summer, and fall months. We are currently one truck down for our winter snow operation. This would allow us to be back at 100% operation. The cost would be approximately $265,000 or a lease to buy option. An
So,
example-
John, which one are you looking at, bud? The
It's
507?
both of them, it's
the
international.
hot box
H-
and the-
The
and the-
507, the 131,
And the 134? Okay.
So an example would be like last weekend, we were down 3 trucks plus this one, so we were 4 trucks down. So it would be great to put this back in the, get full capacity.
The hot box is what, just the behind the cab piece?
Yeah, just just a unit that we use for asphalt operations, so
Oh,
it
it
goes in
keeps
the
the
back of
asphalt
the
warm?
bed.
There's a actual picture floating around
Okay.
of that.
But also like a 6-wheeler, where we could use it for snow operations.
Okay.
Lastly, we are requesting the purchase of a hook lift with tarp system with various attachments. With those attachments comes dumpster, flatbed, and dump body, so it's a multi-use truck. We have the truck, we're just looking to replace it with this setup. This would replace a rundown aging dump body that is desperate need for replacement. Estimated cost of repair and materials exceeds the value of the dump body with a $133,000 estimate for replacement costs. By transforming this truck, we'll be able to increase usage and ability to change attachments for various projects. The cost to transform the truck will be approximately $133,000. So that's the last item that we're requesting for this year. However, I just want to take a moment, recognize the men and women of Public Works, field operations from all of us, an incredible hard work and commitment. Their work is vital to our success, and their positive attitude keeps the team motivated. We would like to thank everyone for consistently raising the bar by giving the town residents the best service possible. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Let's open up to members if they have any questions on capital for either Mike or John.
Does the refuse truck have the automatic arm in case someday we decide to get the trash cans?
So this truck is going to be like our older trucks with the rear mount tipper, so that we could also do dumpsters and do our trash pickup at curbside. So it won't have a side, it's not a side loader, it's a rear loader.
Okay.
But
So
we-
we're always going to need a rear loader for some of the roads in town that we can't get the
Oh.
automated side
Okay.
loader in.
All right, sorry, thank you.
And they have multiple stops a day for dumpster pick runs, so they need this truck.
All right.
Anyone else have questions for Public Works?
I do. I guess we've seen these pictures for years and years and years.
He probably called Victor Palma. Victor probably had him in the draw.
Probably.
But the
What
trucks
would-
do look older now.
I always love the pictures. But if you had to pick the priority out of this list, which you have a really old fleet, what would be your,
So we would definitely
Number one.
prioritize the rear loader refuse truck, being that's a 2012. They have an 8-year lifespan pretty much, and after that, you just throw a lot of money into them just to keep them on the road. So that would be number one. Number two, service for 2 years with the hot box, asphalt hot box in the back. It would significantly be more efficient than what we're doing now. We have a limited time for our asphalt, so we have to use it in a certain amount of time before it gets cold. So that would help out a lot. We're also down 1 truck for snow plowing, so we really felt it this past weekend.
you're gonna feel it again this week?
Yes.
Oh, definitely.
So that would be a huge help to the guys at Field Ops.
All right, thank you.
Any final questions or comments for Mike, John?
Did you want to talk at all about the full-time employee that you'd like to add?
Well, he said he was not requesting that.
Well,
You're not
yeah,
gonna request it?
because of the tight, I know we have a
Okay,
tight
so
budget
you're
here,
not
but,
gonna, okay, got it.
I mean, it would be for an additional labor, if not this year. I don't think it reflects this budget.
Yeah, I didn't see the number change in the employment table.
Yeah, so it would be an additional labor for our streets and roads and parks, you know, to help with the maintenance of Central Block and throughout the whole town, so. I mean, the town is getting bigger. our staff is the same as it's been since I started, and that's over 30 years, so I think it's time to increase our personnel.
And how much of the snow plowing is done exclusively by our public works staff as opposed to, do you ever have to supplement it by?
It's all done by our staff.
It's exclusively done?
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
So,
And that's
got
appreciated very
a
much.
dedicated staff that once the snow starts and they know what to get done and they want to get it done so they could complete it and be
They
done with
treat the
it.
roads right before.
Yes,
Yeah.
treat them before it
So we want to
starts.
make it safe for all our residents, our visitors, our families, and the business owners. We want to make it so that they could get to work, get to school, and get things done.
I'm sure you've seen on social media, you go to bed at night and the roads are covered, you wake up in the morning and there's no snow on the roads,
Yeah.
curb to curb. And they compare us to other towns all the time,
Yeah, I do.
and we always look the best.
Do a great job.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you do.
right, thank you,
and
guys.
to try to
Thank
keep
you
our
all.
numbers
Appreciate it.
down.
Like it.
Be safe.
Oh, yes, yeah, I thought it was tonight. It's all right.
They changed it on
They made it the most major, the meeting itself. This is just a public work.
It's good to see you.
Who made you vice chairman? It's gotta know the rules.
Vice Chairman.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.